Hello and welcome to another BuildASoil YouTube episode. Today, we've got a big one. This is episode 1, season 1, and we're gonna be doing side-by-side tests. So I'll explain that really quickly. We started releasing these tent packages, and we just finished setting up our entire tent so that if you're brand new or if you're new to this type of style, we show you how to route all of this. Now, what we haven't done is tuck the wires as the day's getting away from us, but I talked about how to do it, and I will show you that I've already tucked the wires in this Grandmaster bundle. This is the Cypress bundle. So really quickly, I'm gonna show you both, and then we're gonna come back and I'm gonna show you how to duplicate this. This is our Earthbox setup. It's already transplanted, the mulch layer's set. I got the really cool cover on. We're gonna explain where that came from and why I think it's so important. And these two Earthboxes are gonna fill this entire tent. Not only that, it's gonna take out the biggest learning curve that new growers have, and that's how to water properly. Not only that, but experienced growers oftentimes leave lots of yield on the table because they're either scared of overwatering or scared of underwatering. When you use an automated watering system like the Earthbox, you unlock some of the biggest yield potential I've ever seen. And I'd like to explain why I think it works in theory so that you can trust the system and not have to overdo this. Really, this is gonna turn you into a professional grower. You've got the perfect environment. You've got the best, latest technology and grow lights. You've got the water being taken care of with a soil that has back to back just batch testing on every single batch we make. So I wanna show you how to use it. I want you to get everything out of it. So let's go over two things. First, everything with the Earthbox bundle and what you should have. Or second, I wanna go over that. And then we're gonna set up this Earthbox and we're gonna transplant our clone. Before I do that, I just wanna talk about these 4x4 bundles. They're identical except for the grow light. And so the first one is the Cypress. And so you may be wondering, should I get one of these? What am I doing? The idea is you get the whole tent bundle and then you go choose an add-on bundle. Do you want Earthboxes, Trader Grows? Do you want blue mats? How do you wanna do it? The reason why we're starting with Earthbox first is this is the lowest tech, biggest check. It is simple, set it, forget it. It's automated enough to buy you a couple of days on the weekend where you don't really have to check in on it. And there's ways to automate it even further. So for a small amount of money, the least amount of soil for shipping, you can fill this entire tent up with really top quality. And we're gonna show you how. That's why we're starting with the Earthbox. In the tent bundle, you get the light, you get an adapter to plug into the controller so it runs the light. You get the controller, you get trellis netting, you get the ducting, you get the Pro fan that runs through the controller, controlling the environment in here. You get the VPD temp gun, which is pretty fun. Allows me to get a temperature reading of the leaf and then base my VPD based on that. If you don't know what it is, I promise we're gonna do a deep dive like we always do every season on environment. We wanna make sure that you have this and there's no excuse for not having full jars of fire. The 4x4 grow tent that you see, yours will be slightly newer. It comes with a metal plate, a blocked zipper, a white floor. I just wanted to address that. We have multiple generations of these tents because we've been doing this a long time. And when AC Infinity first started getting into this, we were already trying their products out. We also went with the VivoSun High CFM kit. This particular one gives us the extra 2 inches all the way around the tent. It opens it up, it kind of bends out, and it blocks this from coming in when my exhaust fan goes on. I think it makes a huge difference, especially deep in flower. It also comes with 2 weatherproof power strips that allow us to spray water on them without concern. Now, that's not the goal, but it's a preventative and a protection, and they're more than heavy enough to be splitting the load in here, and some under canopy USB 3-speed fans that plug into our power strips because they've got USB and USB-C, and those are the ones that are gonna be a little bit lower power underneath the canopy, keeping the airflow. So now that you know the whole kit, this is the Cypress 6. The difference in this side-by-side, episode 1 is, a lot of these companies come out with marketing claims, and it makes sense. When I first started doing this, you have to understand, we were looking at LED and trying some of them. We even offered some of the early Mars lights because none of them were worth that much money at the time, and most of the guys were doing homemade cobs. And then the Mars came out, and many other brands with like Blurple and other colors. We even had to hire a guy to like solder the chips back on because they'd break. They were not very good quality compared to today's, and they didn't yield as well or produce as good of quality, but times have changed. And so nowadays, I feel like if you haven't looked at a kit in a while, or if you're just looking at one because you're a first-time grower, it's taken a quantum leap. No longer can you listen to your buddies who are like, oh man, growing's hard, be careful when you try, I tried, I got spider mites, or you know, whatever happened, the plants died. This is a turnkey solution. You'll be a pro. Like, the light works. We can tell you how bright it's supposed to be. And in these particular lights, the Cypress 6, these have these green strips here. And it has UV, and it has far red and infrared. And the reason why that's important is this is the latest tech. These are the Samsung Evo chips. And so the Evo is Samsung's latest science with white paper backing it, that they're produced for growing plants and they work better than all the other and they're more efficient. So that means for the electrical output to the diode, you're getting the most amount of efficiency and light. That's low, it goes up to high. It just looks bad on camera, so I'm dimming it down. This one's unique characteristic are that it uses the emerald white Evo chips, 3000K, 5000K, infrared, UVA, all of the stuff, plus these emerald green strips. And you know, there's another lighting company that does it. There'll probably be more. The reason why is because there's scientific information that shows that the green penetrates deeper into the tissue of the leaf of the plant. And the hope is that some of the other photons ride along with, but we're putting it through its paces side by side with another light that has a different marketing feature going for it, and I'd like to show you. First, look at, here's the width of the light. It's this far from the front. It's in the middle of the tent, basically. And when I measured it fully on the floor, it was about 300 on the sides, 380 in the center. Well, 320 on the sides, 380 in the center. When you get closer to it though, these strips are a little far from the edges, and so you're gonna have a little bit of loss around the edge. Some growers don't care about that because if you have two plants, all of the light is still gonna be hitting those two plants and they can share energy between the plant as long as it's receiving it. But come over here. Let's say you have more than two plants, or let's say you just like perfection. Instead of going with maybe that green spectrum, you can look at this Grandmaster Tent Ultimate Tarantula 4x4. The reason why we wanted to try this one is we've heard great things about this company. They were easy to work with and they seemed really geeked out. They seemed like they were into this shit. Sent me this light for free. I didn't have to buy it. I thought that was cool. We started working with them and they have the Samsung Evo chips and the UV, and you can see all that. They don't have the emerald green, but they are using the mint white chips. So there is some more green in the spectrum than a lot of the average lights. On top of that, you can see it's to the front. You can see it's all the way to the edge. It's a much bigger light, and I can't directly look at it. Let me grab some glasses here. I don't want to have to dim it. It's got two strips on the edge of the tent. No other light does that. They only have one strip. Why double them up? Well, when you're here, the plant is receiving light from two strips, overlapping, twice the power. On the edge, you only receive from one, so they double them. Not only that, but around these edges, they drastically increased the amount of diodes on the sides. So basically you're creating this halo all the way around where instead of lessening on the edges, it's very, very even. I will say this one's similar, all the way on, about 380 in the dead center. And so that allows us to run the light all the way at the top and not have to adjust all four corners awkwardly. If you're gonna want to adjust it, I would encourage you to make sure that you have some way of accessing it. As it gets full in here, it is hard to adjust. The good news is when it's full, you're gonna want the light all the way up. This isn't on 100% brightness, but it's connected to the controller and it's set on a pre-configured recipe. We've not set the recipe up on that controller yet. We're gonna do a deep dive video where I screen record, I discuss pros, cons, theory, everything behind getting your tent controller set up. They've got a new AI one, and I'm sure it's gonna do really cool stuff, but it's very new. I wanna make sure that even if you adapt that new technology, you know everything behind it. You know how it's supposed to work. I wanna teach you those fundamentals, and once you know that, there's no magic. Nobody can be like a pro grower better than you because all it really takes is a little bit of love. You get good genetics, you already have the good environment and the light, there's absolutely no excuse for not having top shelf. So, a few little tricks, right? But that's like that last 1%. 99% of the way there is good genetics, good environment. We've already set these up. We set them up maybe 10 minutes ago. So they just got transplanted. To keep the side-by-side fair, we're running all clones of GMO. And I needed to kind of push this video off. We had lots to do. So they've been kind of sitting in their cups for a little while, which produced a good root system, but a little bit of a lanky plant. And so I was anxious to get these transplanted, and I'm really happy to get this going today. Part of it is timing. I'm leaving town. I need to veg for a certain amount of time, so I was really predicting where I would be at in the future. I encourage you to do the same and make sure that you don't run a grow into a problem because you don't think about your schedule. That is the side-by-side. And obviously today's day one, we just transplanted. So we're gonna have lots to compare between these two grow lights, and what we intend to do is tell you exactly how many reservoir fills we do, all of it. I'm not the best with keeping notes on details, so I don't promise to tell you exactly how much they drink, but the idea will be just to keep a count. We're gonna put something on the tent so I can mark how many fills we do. And we're gonna top water in the beginning. I'll explain the Earthbox protocol. But very soon, once the plant hooks up, after about the first 10 days, maybe 14 days, we're gonna water down the tube and it automates the practice. When it's empty, it's 2.5 gallons to fill it before it drains out the edge. So we're gonna be able to count how many times we put 2.5 gallons in, and that'll give us a total on if the tents are acting differently based on the different lights. We're gonna have the exact same recipe on both controllers, same humidifiers, same fans. Only thing different is the light. I can't wait. I like, instead of reading the science, I like doing it and seeing if it translates. Will it matter that that light is perfectly even wall to wall? Or can the plants use the light by getting it in different areas, and where the green matter, or is it just hype? We're gonna show you, we'll talk about it, we're doing it basically live. We're not gonna wait till the end of this to share the results. And then when we're done, we're gonna fill it up with Trader Grows. Maybe we'll do spectrum tuning. We will ask you what the next step is, but we get to keep doing it. And this is episode 1, day 1. So next thing, let's get to the actual Earthbox bundle. Maybe you skipped ahead to this point because you're considering buying it. I'm gonna go over what comes in the Earthbox bundle, why we put it in there, and then I'm gonna take about 5 minutes or so to set this Earthbox up from scratch, transplant my plant, and kick this side-by-side off into full send. So let's get started. I need to get a sip of water, and then we'll get this going. Water, who am I kidding? If you know me, it's usually a cup of coffee laying around from earlier in the day. Okay, so I've got the light dimmed down, which I'm gonna wanna turn it up and set my recipe. I'm gonna resist the urge to talk about the environment and all that. I promise we'll talk about it soon. Today is only about the Earthbox. It is brain dead simple. It takes over all the watering, and I'll show you exactly how it works right now so that you have the best results. Earthbox add-on kit, okay? So it's gonna come with cocoa coins. So let me show you. It's right here. These cocoa coins are from Charcor. They're a really reputable company, and I've had very duplicatable results using these. Now, I often teach just to put your seed directly into our soil, and you can do that. But when you're new and you spend lots of money on seeds, you just wanna be sure. So we started using these to do it the same way, and you could do it the same way anywhere in the world. You can use the little Jiffy pellet ones. I like these cocoa core ones. They work really, really well. And so I'm gonna soak these and put seeds in them, or I'm gonna soak them and I'm gonna take clones from my plants and put them in here. The reason why we provide this in the kit is you're gonna have to start somehow. I happen to have rooted clones. But one of the things I wanna show you, besides the algae growing on here, this is a tester seedling mix for small trays. We're always testing here, and 9 out of 10 recipes we test don't make the cut. Important to constantly get better. But you can see this is the puck right there. So this was rooted from the GMO plants that we have actually running in another tent. And then I got all 4 to root at the same time. They're similar in size. And then I put them in these cups. Instead of putting them in the cup, I'm gonna encourage you, as soon as your clones are rooted or as soon as your seeds pop, if you're brand new, autoflowers or feminized autoflowers or just regular feminized seeds, eliminate the need to transplant and wait to identify the sex. If it's a clone, you already know. So you'll go right from these pucks and with feminized seed or clone directly into the Earthbox. So the only difference for me today is I have this cup. You'll just have these. That's why it's in our essential kit. You can always get soil cups. You can do this many different ways. And then my rule of thumb, one of the fundamental principles, which will be in the book and which we'll be discussing, is that energy likes to be in motion. And in nature, you can't take something and hold it. You can't, Peter Pan syndrome, like stay young forever. And when it comes to the plants, you want to get, as soon as the seed pops, you want to get it in motion. You don't want to just sit this in this little thing, getting massive root system. It might look cool, but I immediately want it in soil. And so we'll discuss that as we go, but I just wanted to mention that if you're wondering, when you're brand new, as soon as your seeds pop, you can get them going. Okay, then the first tap roots out of here are right into the soil. Next, what comes with the Earthbox the heavy duty mega tray, and the 50 cell insert. So you'll get the dome, you'll get all the stuff. You can put them in here and pop your seeds. And this tray is really thick. In fact, we have a photo of like 2 guys holding it and a guy standing in it. The reason I like that is when you're holding it one-handed, it doesn't dump all your stuff. They last a long time. We went to make sure that you have a quality kit. It's gonna last, not stuff that's just gonna break. And it comes with a dome. I really like it. It's tall enough, not those short ones, so you can put your clones, seedlings, whatever in there. And this keeps it 100% humidity, which allows you to have a lot better control over the process. We'll explain that later on when we do more demonstrations. If you need to know this stuff right now, we have hundreds of hours of episodes already. You can go back, we've done this time and time and time again already. We're your guide, just follow what we do. You don't have to be like expert at this. It's very, very easy, okay? Anywhere in the world, even if you don't have the exact same tools, I promise you follow these fundamental principles, you're gonna have your best grow yet, okay? Next, we have the basics. There's other things that you might see people using. You can buy them if you want. One of our most popular products are wetting agents, but in an Earthbox, the watering's so automatic, it may not be needed right away, and we wanted to keep this to the essentials. And so what you're gonna get is Build-A-Bloom, which is for flowering. You're also gonna get Build-A-Veg, which this is mine, it's open. We also did Craft Blend. We're gonna use that today. I've already opened it and I put some in that one, and we're gonna use more right now and match them the same. This Craft Blend is our most popular product. It's 15 ingredients, and we're gonna put it in right away. Even though the soil has plenty, this isn't gonna hurt the plants. It's gonna be in the top mulch layer, starting to feed all the microlife in there, and it's gonna come alive, and it's also gonna stimulate. It's like putting the food, like all the animals in my house know right where the food is. If you put a compost pile near a tree, it's gonna put its roots out and eat it. When we establish this mulch layer, using this and a couple of the tools here, it's gonna set the pace, and you're gonna have one of the best grows you've ever had. So Craft Blend, check it out. We have a whole video on it. We've also got Build-A-Flower, which we just changed the size and the packing style because of some odor in this bag, and so that's why it doesn't look exactly the same, but in a couple of days it will be. We put a very small hole here with a special tool and allows it to breathe, as opposed to the one-way valve, which is not enough. We need it to breathe, and that keeps it alive, and it keeps it smelling really good like compost. That goes together. We'll explain that in just a moment. We also have our WDG3000 gnat killer. It's really basic. It's like a teaspoon per gallon for preventative. I've already added it to my water. It's imperative that with living soil of any brand, anytime you do a top dress or when you set up a new bed of soil, it's part of the ecosystem is fungus gnats, and they'll either find their way in there, or if there's even one larva, because we don't sterilize anything, it could get fungus gnats in your grow. Now, in hydro, that could hurt your plant. In living soil, it's a nuisance, but we don't want it. I want it to be perfect for you. I want you to have no reason to turn this off. I don't want your wife to be like, why are there gnats in the house, right? And so, to me, this is important. A little bit of this right when you start, you're not gonna have any gnats, you're not gonna have any problems, and it's a simple bacteria. It's why it's in here, okay? Next, we have the Big 6 micronutrients. Big 6 micronutrients are the 6 most important micronutrients. The 7th that you often hear about is iron, which there's tons of rock dust in our soil. This will allow you to make sure that you just have peak health. It's kind of like a multivitamin, making sure that the really imperative ones are covered, since we're growing in potting soil, not in the earth. And after that, we have the Rootwise combo pack. So we have the enzymes, we have the microbe complete, and we have the BioFos. We'll talk about this a little bit more later, but just know it's one of our longest running products, one of our most successful. And Kevin from Rootwise, he created the company, it's his, we're the distributor for it. It has the mycorrhizae, it also has the flowering for the phosphorus mobility, and it has enzymes that all make it work better. And it's the only one I know of that has this all together in function, and it has the honor of being run by the 2023 and 2024 world record pumpkin holder, as well as state record holders and many others. Not that we're growing pumpkins, but we're growing something that takes all of its energy to get the best results in 1 year, an annual flowering plant. And so these are the basic tools that it's gonna take to get you the best run you've ever had in your life. I'd encourage you to look at some of our other products, but I don't wanna overwhelm you. So that's the Essentials kit. Lastly, you're gonna get the Earthbox. Besides that, we have the New Moon covers, which are really, really cool. Normally, they come with just a regular black plastic one that is like a shower cap, and it rips really easy, and you end up discarding them and having to buy more. The other thing is, they don't work nearly as well. You have to cut this little hole and like stretch it over your plant if you've already transplanted. And it's like stressful, so you don't want to hurt your plant. And if you like release it and it snaps back and hurts your plant, I don't like them. Okay, so these are absolutely top notch. Now, it may not be what everybody needs for their patio, and they got 6 of these things going, but for a 4x4 grow tent to have the best, this is your mulch. And normally in living soil, we use like straw or something like that. But with the Earthbox, you get this really cool cover. It blocks the light. It allows the worms to come up here in the mulch layer. And the powerhouse secret of the Earthbox is if you overgrow these, you can mound the compost and mound the organic ingredients on top. And that's hard to do with all the straw there. So we keep it gone so you can mound, and you'll see feeder roots like you've never seen before, because you can actually open the mulch cover and look while you're growing and take a peek underneath. Top dress, water, put your goodies in, and then zip it back down. And I think that's one of the coolest features. The other thing, it comes with 2 sets of zippers, so you can run 2 plants in each Earthbox if you want and still keep it closed around the stalk. And then it bungees and tightens around. And when you go to install it, it's easier. So all the way, I just love these new moon covers. We have them available at BuildASoil, and they're part of your Earthbox add-on essential bundle. So let's get this going. That's your entire bundle, but there's a few tips to setting it up that you may have just skipped to this part. I need you to see this part where we set up and transplant the plant. You have to do this right. And then please, please, please do not start watering down the bottom for at least 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, until your plant is really visibly growing. If it's a seed, it might take 2 weeks. A clone might be a little faster, but you need to see growth. At that point, you can start feeding down the bottom. The other golden rule with the Earthbox, if you're very experienced, let's say you're a black belt, you can start to break the rule because you know why and when. Otherwise, don't break my rules, especially in the beginning. The first rule is you only water after the plant is established, and then after that, you water when it's empty. You don't keep it full at all times. That will make sure that we don't overwater and accidentally hurt the plant. Now, it's very difficult to do once the plant is going, but this one rule will allow you to have the best results. Now, later you can play with filling it a little more often if you'd like, but I want to encourage you to keep it simple this first round. Let's get it going. I forgot to mention, obviously it comes with a 3.0 soil. It comes with 3 bags. Really, you only need 2, but I want to encourage you to use the 3rd bag, which I have here, to fill it pretty dang full, because our top dresses can start to mound right away. We only have 2 plants in here and we want to fill it full. So we're going to give this little Earthbox a run for its money, and I want to get ready for the long haul. So let's get it going. I've got 1 bag open. That's the 2nd bag. I already set that one up, 1.5 bags. This is the other half. Not quite half. You'll actually have a little extra, and that's good because you can use it for other things, or you can try and cram it all in there. It's totally up to you. And the 3.0 soil, I'm just going to dump in here. They do make wheels for these, and the wheels are super nice on the patio. They're nice in the grow tent, but it takes a little bit of height. We don't have a lot in the tent. I'm gonna set mine right on the ground. You can always upgrade to wheels if that's easier on your back for moving it around. It's totally up to you. You can move it and clean underneath. I'm gonna maximize my height and set them right on the ground. The first step, when you get your Earthbox, these are used. I've used them many times. They hold up to the sun extremely well. They're food grade plastic. This insert is gonna go in, and this is the tube that you're gonna feed down. Down below, you can see there's an overflow area, okay? And there's wicking corners here. That's where we're gonna pack the soil in the wicking corner. So I put this in, matching the open holes with the wicking corner, right here. I put the tube in. Now, with an Earthbox black plastic cover, you actually want it like this. And then the black plastic cover fits perfect. It's fine, but it's harder to see the water down there because it's harder to get reflection. So I like it perfectly vertical, and that's what the new moon cover preference is. The hole's exactly right there when it's vertical instead of to the side, like Earthbox wants you to do it. So we're gonna set ours vertical. We're gonna put a little soil around here to hold it, and we're gonna pack the corners. You have to pack the corners because when you put water down below, it's gonna rush to those corners and wick the water up. If it rushes to the corners and it washes out, it's not gonna automatic water. I promise it's simple. Don't overthink it, just do what I do. A little bit of soil in each corner. Now you're thinking, oh no, it's falling in. What do I do? It's totally fine for there to be soil in there. I've done back-to-back no-till rounds on these where I don't even dump the soil out and it stays clean out there. The roots like eat it it's not really a big problem, so don't overthink it. And then I just move some of the soil and I press it down in the corner, firm, with my fingers. Making sure it's tight so it's not gonna wash out. And I'm just gonna get this all wet because that'll make sure that it's really compacted in there and it doesn't just wash out. You don't have to use a chaping sprayer. You can just water it in gently, very slowly, so you don't just wash it out. The sprayer makes it a little easier. And then you're gonna pack it again when it's wet. And that really condenses it. That's all you need to do. Don't overthink it. It's good to go now. It's gonna work flawlessly. Now we put the rest of the soil in. Like I said, I want this kind of up, so I'll fix that after this bag. Okay, so you can see 1 bag of soil almost fills it, 1 cubic foot. And then it holds 2.5 gallons underneath of water. So let's move that to the center. Move all that around. Okay, cool. All right, I pack it down just a little bit to make room for the next bit. Not too much, I don't want to bow the sides out too much, but you can fit a little more this way. I just don't want to take all the air out of the soil. So I'm just being pretty gentle, but the water is going to compact it at least that much. Now I've got my other bag of soil that I've already opened because I made the first Earthbox. I'm going to pour this in, at least some of it. And the Earthboxes is kind of a secret hack. What's cool is if you're watching this in the future, you can just jump ahead and see the results. But if it's any time around now, you're gonna have to wait, just like I'm going to. Good news is we've done this a lot. We have lots of seasons where we've already grown in these, and you can watch. Packing it down around that tube pretty good so the tube doesn't move. Okay, now before I transplant, I just want to moisten this. We're gonna establish the mulch layer after we transplant. Now remember, this has the Rootwise and the WDG 3000. Now it's not dry, but it's not soaking wet, and I want to establish a good watering because I'm going to transplant, and I just want it to be ready for it. You can see that pumice really pop as soon as it starts to get wet. Kind of cleans it all off. Now using this sprayer, I've probably only put on like a 1/4 gallon. So it looks like I'm going for a while, but it's barely got like a 1/2 inch down right now. Want to make sure there's plenty of moisture in there to get started. The way that you can tell if you're brand new is the squeeze test. You can grab some of this soil once the water's settled in for 10 minutes and squeeze it with your hand before you transplant. If when you squeeze it, it just drains water out, it might be a little too wet. And you can dig to the bottom, it might still be dry at the bottom, so you just wait a little longer until it kind of becomes homogeneous. But if you're done watering and you go to squeeze it and you can't even get it to beat up any water or stick together, then it's too dry. All right, I'm going to be able to water after. I don't need to put it all in one go. Part of the secret to top watering is to do a little now, a little bit more in a few minutes, especially when it's just first getting established. Okay, I've got my clone. We'll talk about cleaning it up and all that stuff, but I just want to be gentle. You can tell the new growth looks really good. We just had these kind of sitting in a grow tent by themselves and trying out our new seedling soil, and I would leave for the weekend and did pretty good, but it's definitely time to get transplanted. I recommend you transplant before they get like they're trying to live and survive in these little cups. I'll show you there's probably a pretty good root system on these. I don't want it to be that established. Energy likes to be in motion. As soon as I know that this cup is transplantable and there's little roots coming out the bottom and it's been there for a few days after I see roots, I'm usually ready to get going. These are kind of a holding stage to get all of my clones rooted in similar size. So here we go. You can plant it on any side you want. You can put multiple plants in here, just flip the flower sooner. I've oftentimes put them on one end. That enables me to see down here for a long time when I come in the tent before the plant blocks it. And then what I'll do is I'll just kind of bend the plant like this. We'll talk about training techniques to fill your tent up later. And we've got growers here that you can just call, you can email us, we'll answer your questions. In case you're just one of those that really needs your handheld, we're here for you. But all I'm getting at is it doesn't really matter. This time, I'm gonna plant a little more towards the center instead of here like I do sometimes, just because. You can see down below, no new moisture, still a little dry. It's only through like the top inch, so I'll definitely be able to water a little more in here. Let's see what the roots look like. Oh yeah, root-wise, popping. Beautiful. So in the Earthbox, I don't mind if it's kind of up a little bit, and I'll press it down. I don't want it buried up because I'm gonna mound later up pretty high on here. So you can kind of have it out just a little bit, get all the soil around, and then go gently, push. Now see how level it is instead of buried? That's good because we're gonna put a top dress layer on here now. The other thing with these covers, you definitely want it in the center from side to side because the zipper is gonna run down the middle and you don't want it to bend your plant. You can adjust it, so don't worry, but just some considerations. Now I need to moist a little bit more and set up the mulch layer, so let's get that done. What I'm gonna use to establish the mulch layer is very, very simple. Craft blend, BuildASoil. Okay, in your bag you have a gallon that comes with it. You can split this between the two plants, or you can do like 25% of it between the two plants and then add more later right before you go to flower. You can always buy a bigger bag. We just wanted you to have the minimum for what it takes to get this first round done. Craft blend, you can see there's directions on the back. And so when mixing soil or for top dressing, it says top dress 1/4 to 1/2 cup per plant at transplant and again at flowering. I'm gonna go really hard on these and I'm establishing a mulch layer. So I'm gonna do about 1 cup per. So I've got something that I was using. I have a little mark on there to where I was going. That way they're all the same. All the different textures and ingredients there from malted seeds and minerals and phosphorus sources and nitrogen sources and all organic, good stuff. I just don't put it right on the stalk. You probably could, doesn't really matter. That's what I do. If you get that wet, it's gonna create a crust, okay? I don't want crusties. It's fine, the roots will break through it, but really what I like to do is this, incorporate. This gets all this wet. It gets it so that water moves through it freely. It doesn't create a crust. Part of the reason why we're gonna have the BuildASoil is because of this. Creates this entire area, it's a buffet. You no longer need to do soil testing. You no longer need to be an expert on exactly what to feed a plant and when to feed the plant. Just become a good steward. The plant is going to take what it wants from this buffet. Know that the buffet generally has all the food, just like when you eat at your house. You know what a good meal is, right? Nobody needs to come and tell you every day exactly what to eat or you'll die. So Craft Blend has all the stuff. Got tons of people that swear by it. I mix it in, okay? Take the Craft Blend, which is worm castings and compost and some amendments. We mix mustard seed into it. It helps with any of the biology. It cleans it, about 25% of the bag. Break it up a little bit. It will be slightly dry in here because overly wet will start to ferment in those bags. So we put the breathing hole. All the nutrition is here and a lot of the life, and it'll come right back as soon as we mix it with these amendments in this top layer and put the moisture on it, the root wise. This is awesome. Now all that biology and compost and worm castings right along with those amendments, it's going to create a buffet up here that they're going to love. And then lastly, I'll reincorporate just a little bit once I get it established in a thin layer. You're looking to put like a 1/4 inch all the way across the Earthbox top. Doesn't have to be perfect, I promise. Coot taught me a lot. One of the things he passed down was Clackamas Coot, one of our mentors. You can look him up. He taught me about bread baking. When I first started, I was like, man, if you don't get it exact, it would ruin it, right? And man, the best bread. And there's literally nothing to get wrong. You can 80% water, 90% water, 95% water. I mean, I was thinking too much. And some of the more simple things in life are very forgiving. However, to get the results you want, it's good to have a recipe to follow until you learn. And that's what we're trying to do for you. Nothing magic, just follow our recipe. As soon as you learn this, you'll understand it all and you can come up with all your own ideas. I'm spreading the mud. Okay, that's it. I want to put the cover on because it's half the fun and show you how easy it is and compared to the black plastic ones. I'm gonna wet this. That's about 10 gallons of soil. And so the most you'd ever want to put in here on your first watering is about 1 gallon of water. That's how easy this is. Obviously there's more videos. We're gonna show you how to build the canopy in there and go to flower, but it's all gonna be these recipes that we teach you. The rest of the time, you'll just get to really enjoy the process. And one of the things that I love when I see friends get started in this is they get this excitement. And instead of being excited because you ordered some shit on Amazon and it's coming tomorrow, you're excited to look in your tent and see every single day the life that you're supporting, what's happening, what's changing. And it's infectious. It starts to rub off on other areas in your life. It can become a lifestyle. And all of it starts with succeeding on the first go instead of really struggling. And I think it makes a huge difference in your desire and your fun level. I want to keep the fun level, the stoke level high. So I open the zipper. There's 2 sets. I open it, one of them all the way. Okay. If I was putting 2 plants, obviously I'd evenly space them, but since it's 1, it doesn't matter. You just get the plant through first. And then obviously the front, you want to be where the tube is, and there's a hole here. And see, it matches up perfectly on that tube. And now we want to make sure that if I didn't get it dead in the center, I pull the zipper to line up right on the stalk of my plant so I don't pull it too far left or right. Zip it. Now underneath here in a few days, it's going to come completely alive because of the craft blend. It's unreal. We'll show you what it looks like, but the soil is going to be visibly teeming with life. We'll show you on the coming episodes. And of course, we're going to go over electrical. We're going to go over the deep dive on how to set up the controller. So please subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. It makes a big difference. We're age restricted. If you like this stuff, you want to keep all this education free. A lot of people have chosen to participate in our Patreon. That little bit goes a long way to keep the video editing done, take the time out of our day to keep this free, support everything that we do. And we do some extra stuff back there, so it's pretty fun. We have a Discord group that is only accessible there, so you can check it out. Otherwise, I'm about to wrap this up. Oh man, this is awesome. I love the look of those covers. Looks so good. Which light's gonna do better? Will they do the same? You're just gonna have to watch and find out. Then we're gonna do more of these tests. That's everything I wanted to go over. If you haven't done so already, subscribe, it really helps. Like this, share it with your friends, help them get better at growing, and stay loyal to the soil. Until next time, I'll see you on the next episode.